This last little bit, I started in an indie or in a game jam, the mini game jam, where you get about 48 hours to make a video game. Now I'm just gonna talk through all that I did while it's going in super speed. So I started off by wanting to make a game where you'd kind of place units around that you drew beforehand, and you would tell them where to go, they would go there, and then they would just attack on their own. Going with the theme, Can't Stop Moving, or something like that, where the allies, people that you place down, wouldn't stop moving. So at this point, I was creating something so you could draw, which was very new to me. I experimented a lot with this one, which meant that my final product wasn't quite as good as I had hoped, but I'm pretty proud of what I made. Here is just honestly what coding is. I'm trying to give the best example of what an actual game developer is doing 50% of the time. This is cutting a lot of it, and I didn't record for nearly as much as I meant to, but who cares? Yeah, so at this point, I was making something so you could draw on the very screen. Right now, I'm looking for a bug. I believe, looking back, the literal problem is one of the words is supposed to start in a lowercase, and it is uppercase. That was the entire problem. Took me about 2 hours to figure that out, and I had restarted because I'm pretty sure I had done everything in the wrong order for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, so I just restarted on that bit of code. Wasn't too bad. This honestly didn't take too much time, but I only had 48 hours, and I had lost most of the first day due to working because I have a job. And so this was all late at night. Yeah, but once I finally figured out what was wrong, I then played with the drawing a little bit. Though not a lot of it is recorded. I played with that for like a good half an hour, which I could have done so much with. Not a whole lot. Making games is pretty slow, to be honest. But with how many breaks and just playing around I did, I really should have done more. Next, I wanted to make it so you could swap between what you're drawing, because there'll be several different units. Once I got the button system working, I then decided, okay, let's make the actual map. Add some castles just on some green patch grass, and that would be the entire map. Pretty simplistic. Castles were easy to make. Didn't use anything but the basic shapes, but they worked. They look pretty decent for a game made in 48 hours. And next, I'm kind of pausing here. Yeah, so now I wanted to organize everything. I was kind of struggling on what to do next because I hadn't really planned out what to do. I'm used to having a lot of time where I can plan things out in my head. So I'll have like 3 days where I'm just thinking about how I'm going to make my game, what I'm going to make first, last, the entire process, the world building. But on this, I just went into it. I got an idea, thought about it for about 20 minutes, and said, okay, yeah, this could work. Let's just go with it. Now I'm making it so you can actually spawn units. At least I believe I should be. So how it was going to work is you would press a key down and it would select what unit, like whatever unit you're going to place down. And then you could click and actually place them down. And then click a different key and so on and so forth. This did not work for a while. This was all new to me. Like, I have done spawning before, but it was in 3D and it was a long while ago. I'm still a very new person, like, as far as game dev goes. Now I just wanted to make something very simple for the what I wanted to be: farmer, basic infantry, and advanced infantry. So I did a square, a circle, and a triangle. Very simple, but you can tell which is which slightly. And I was planning on replacing them with whatever you drew. So then that would go around. Next was actually getting it down. So you would press a key and it would select what thing you were spawning. I don't know why, but this did not work. Looking back, I probably could have spent more time and figured out how to make it work how I wanted it to, but I just felt like I didn't have time, which was kind of true. Like, 48 hours is a lot less time than you realize, than I realized at the very least. But it all worked out in the end, I guess. Yeah, so now I'm making it so when you click the left mouse button, it spawns whatever is, like, spawning. Oh my gosh, I just realized why it didn't work. Not important. After this was just fixing a lot of the little bugs, because that is a lot of what a game dev is you'll make a piece of code and it will rarely work, especially if you're doing something new. I don't think a single piece of code on this, like, I think one piece of code actually just worked right off the bat, and that was it. So after this, I decided that there should be a marker to tell which castles are yours and which are the enemy's castles. So I decided to make yours just gray castles and the enemy's black castles. Simple, works. I could change between them with an animation, I imagined. And now that we have done the spawner, we could make the actual AI and something to go with that. So I found some YouTube tutorials because I don't really know what I'm doing. I can make some code on my own, but I'm slightly helpless at times. Uh, Especially with new things. Like, whenever trying something new, I will usually try to do it on my own, fail, and then pull up a YouTube tutorial. So with this, it was ooh, ooh, something I noticed before, and it just always annoys me. Is back it said crypto transform, it always autocorrects to the wrong things. It's like when you type the F word and it becomes duck or something dumb like that. It's just an annoyance, and there's even a button I can click to turn it off. Back to the topic of the actual game. That is super annoying, though. I was making it so it would find the position of the object that I had, and it would go to said position. The soldier would. And yeah, that was the AI. Very simplistic. I was going to add some more later so you could tell it where to go. But for now, this would work. But, oh no. They were all going to the same place, and I didn't know why. As I just go through it a lot. This doesn't happen very often. Code doesn't work a lot, but it's never not worked like this. I had some suspicions of how to fix it. Maybe things were broken. I put in the castle instead of an enemy unit, and it went to a castle, thank goodness. But then I was like, huh, maybe that's just because that's where the original castle was. And I started to notice that it was going after the original, not the prefab. Which, to dumb that down, you can clone things, and it was going after whatever I put down originally, not the clone of it. So even though there was 20 castles, I'm not counting up however many there are, except that I did, and it's 12 or 13. So it wasn't going after all of the castles, it was going after the original castle that I made and where it was. And, ooh, this was a struggle. I couldn't figure it out for a while. After this, I tried a couple of things, but nothing was really working out just how I quite wanted it. Maybe it was just that I had the prefab. Now they weren't even moving. I felt like the more I worked on this, the farther I got. Quite discouraging. This is when I started thinking, what if this game wasn't even fun? What if I worked all of this and it still wasn't fun? Maybe the box collider is the reason. Let's just focus on this. We can do this if we need. But after so long, I realized I couldn't. I switched to a first person shooter. I was going to make a game where zombies would chase you and you would have to run away from them. But to go with the theme, you can't stop moving, you would be going forward nonstop. So you would have to fight them while running forward, meaning that you would have to strategize or some sort. So to start this off, I of course had to make what I wanted to be the paintbrush because that was the special item in the game. Doesn't really look like a paintbrush, but yeah, I don't really. I named it oil brush, and that is just the dumbest name because it only slightly works with the backstory that I made in a minute. But yeah, either way, I had to make the game. Basically, I just had it where I had a point on the gun where it was right in front of the gun. I'm going to call the paintbrush the gun, where the little spheres would spawn and then they would be pushed forward. Pretty simple, but whenever you would click the left mouse button, it would, of course, do this process. It would spawn a sphere in front of the gun and then push it forward. Very simple. I was following a tutorial, and after I had followed it and it didn't work perfectly, I just went, huh, I can see so many ways I could just do this better. I can just do all this. And then it failed. It all failed. And I had to go back. And it's all because the starter map thing that I took off of Unity, it uses the new input system, which I have never used before this. And honestly, I barely used it on this. I played around with my game. The first person part worked. Every time I was clicking and it was supposed to shoot, but it just wasn't. I felt very discouraged after no longer going through with my last game and restarting. Also, now at this point, I was trying to make the movement. I was like, okay, this is going to be a key component. What does the entire theme of the game is that you're going to be constantly moving. I didn't know how to work the new input system though. So I couldn't figure it out. I went, okay, we can do this later though. Let's just play around a little bit. Oh, I found a glitch immediately. If you went on this corner and jumped, you would, as someone perfectly described it, go up to the heavens and meet the gods. Perfect comment, perfect review. Uh, couldn't have said it better myself. Still can't. I don't know what was up with this. This is just in the base game. They should fix that because I'm copying most of this off of Unity. Besides just having the gun there in the bottom right, none of this is actually me yet. Like I've changed some numbers, but I haven't changed anything else. So that was a problem. One I never got to. One I never really cared to get to. I just kind of took some of them out, so it's more difficult for that to happen. And by them, I'm talking about the cubes. I took some of the cubes out because there was specifically just that one that was really easy to jump off the corner. Like, I did that on accident. Like, it's not difficult to do. You're just jumping, and you'll go up to the heavens and meet the gods. But we needed to go back to the gun. It still wasn't working. I needed to redo all of this. This is the point where I actually undid everything I did before because it didn't work. And then I had to redo everything that I took out. Like I had to put it back in. Dumb move on my part, but honestly, I don't know how I would have known better. I had never used this new input system before. It was all new territory in every single way. Besides that, I had done 3D before a little bit, so I did have some knowledge of what I was doing, but not a whole lot. I got it to work, but the bullets were limp. Like they immediately went down. I realized a really easy fix. First of all, oh, I must not have enough power. The amount you push it forward was not enough. This changed it, but not a whole lot. Then I decided, hmm, what if I just took out gravity? Like they'd go straight. This worked. This worked exceedingly well. This was a big brain move on my part, one of very few of them. But yeah, worked quite well. I then thought I broke the game until I realized that I had just put up the speed of the bullets so much I couldn't see the bullets. Like they had gone so fast you couldn't see them. Finally, found just this perfect speed, 1,000 power, where they were fast, they would hit the targets, but you could still see them, and it just worked. Once again, I just played around with how broken this game was. I tried to fix this, but I was completely clueless on what most of everything did. I was like, huh, gravity, that's negative 16. I don't know what that means, but I feel like it shouldn't be negative 16. This did not solve the problem. Uh, and it kind of made things feel worse in the game. Like, I don't know, it just felt weird after that. So I went back to negative 16 right after. I just kind of called it quits after a while. Yeah, there's just me playing around with it. No zombies yet. There's still so much I gotta add to the game. Finally, I've decided I'm just gonna delete that corner one, corner square, because that's where it was the most. Like you could jump up to the heavens and meet the gods most places on the map, but that corner was really easy to do that. But now we need to get to the zombie enemy. I need to make some new AI, just like I had last time, and this time it would chase after the player, so it should be similar to what I made before. Um, which it was. It was a whole lot easier making AI again, even though it was 3D. It was similar. Main thing is it have to maneuver around things. Like I don't want all of them to just get caught on a corner. Though there would be ways I fixed that in some ways and made it harder to do that. Uh, at the very start, I was just following a YouTube tutorial. Not gonna lie. So yeah, not super interesting stuff. It made it so it would start out where it's just like walking around on its own, which is more human behavior. I went, huh, I feel like I might want to take that out later. That doesn't really fit the vibe I'm wanting. I want to just absolute chase scene energy the entire game, where all of the zombies are just absolutely booking it for you. And you just have to run and shoot them non stop, which I feel I succeeded in the game. Not gonna lie. Just give myself a pat on the back for that. Um, then you need to find out where the player was. I honestly didn't know what I was doing here. Even though it was easier, it's still difficult stuff. AI is weird. I copied stuff from GitHub, which I'll go on this later, but this was my first time using GitHub, which GitHub is a place where you borrow or steal, however you want to phrase it, code. I never used this before I broke my game, but we'll go on that later. For the very moment, we just need to get through and make this AI, which was slowish. There was a lot to go into it. Was a chonky bit of code, but it was fine. I now had it all sorted where if the player was in sight, zombies would chase them. If the player was in attack range, the player would attack them. And if the player was not in sight or attack range, then it would just walk around. I would change this later, as I knew I would, but it worked for now. Well, it actually didn't work for now, and it's incomplete right now. Now we just get to wait in silence as we watch me slowly code this all together. Um, this was just the chase player and attack player stuff, so I'm making it where it'll attack. Which how I make it do this is kind of dumb, but you know what? It worked, and I could have made my own code. There was a lot of things I could have done better, but also it worked. So here we are. So how I did it is the AI would approach the player, get really close, then it would stop and it would shoot the player. Not scratch or anything, it shoots the player. Yeah, this was definitely not made for zombies, but it worked. And the tutorial was very comprehensive and explaining everything, so I knew what I needed to do if I needed to change anything. So after this, the code, just as said before, did not work. None of this code worked right off the bat. One of the many things that was wrong with it, and I'm not there yet, is just that something was wrong with the patrol. Yeah, something was wrong with the patrol. I didn't know what. I didn't care to find out. I later deleted it. Right now, I'm just going through the basic stuff like it auto corrected into cryptid transform again when I didn't ask it to do that. Stop. Sorry about that. Then I broke the game. This was after I changed the AI and the AI was working and everything. And then, actually, no, the AI wasn't working at this point. I copied something from GitHub and it broke my game because I didn't know what I was doing. And I just kind of clicked things until I thought it was working. And then things all just shut down. All just shut down. Bad. But you know what? It's a learning experience. I now know a little bit more of how to use GitHub, unlike I did at this point. Lessons to be learned. I don't even know what I'm typing there. Yeah, so I just made everything organized. I deleted everything in the game. It still didn't work. I think I've just deleted that one because it's broken. Like, it is broken, broken. Though, if you press the play button, you would be able to play the game. You just couldn't change anything in the game or add anything in the game, which is kind of important when making a game. Not gonna lie, just a little wee, just a wee little bit. Usually you want to add stuff. Close my door here. Yeah, this was a problem. I fought it for a while. There were some error codes, and when I put those error codes into Wikipedia, I got the silliest response where it was like, if you're getting this message, that means that something is missing. Do not fear. We will find out what it is. Like, it was a call to action. This inspired me to just try and fix it for a while. Then I just quit. Things started getting worse as I fixed them more, which is usually not what you want to do. So I just copied all of the code, made a new one. I haven't gotten that far yet, but at this point I was just copying all of the code. Uh and then I just made a new game cuz this one was broken. I don't even know what was driving me to try and fix it this bad. It was unsavable at this point, but I continued on. I said, "You know what? I put in the code for what was wrong, and a response came up. That means that someone has faced this problem before and that I can get help and that I can solve the problem." Yeah, it didn't quite work out that way. I just restarted. As said before, I just restarted, copied all of my code so I wouldn't have to do all that again. So it wasn't completely lost. Guns worked, zombie worked later. I could play around. All worked. It was amazing. And then I need to add the nav mesh, which is the thing that I copied from GitHub, which broke my game before, so hopefully it won't do that again, especially because this was the last copy, because I don't know why, but I made no failsafe from this point. I was do or die. If this one failed, I was not going to work. At this point, the zombie AI was not working, though. It was supposed to patrol, and it was not. I thought first. So I'm back. This is future me. Not that it matters at all. So I thought that maybe just the nav mesh, which I didn't understand at all, was broken. Then I just realized I didn't want patrol, and clearly something was wrong with patrol. So just get rid of it. And then more bugs. They were flying to the sky. The enemy's bullets were just flying to the sky, and I didn't know why. Uh, Turns out those had negative gravity, which usually you don't want if you're not wanting them to float to the sky like they do. Except that the player has negative gravity. I don't really understand how that works. You could not kill the zombie at this point, but it would chase you. It would shoot you. The bullets did nothing. But yeah, I played around with it. It got stuck a little bit if I really tried, but that wasn't my biggest concern right now. Biggest concern was that I had about no, I had 12 hours left. I had not slept more than 8 hours in the past 2 days. It was, I believe, 4 in the morning at this point. I was powering through though. I was determined. There was only a couple things left. I needed to make it so I could damage them. They could damage me. They could spawn in. Maybe some unit variation. And to add in the dang theme thing, which is that you just keep on moving forward. Hi, cat. I'm recording right now. Uh, I didn't record any of this. I was honestly too tired to think of it. Yeah. So you're not sadly able to see this. In the end, I got most all of that done. And I made up an entire backstory in my sleep and a name for it in a second, which was Oil Brush. You can see it on itch.io. You can download it or play it online. It's called Oil Brush by Towering Rake. I've got it all up here, and I'll try and put the link for it down below. But I got it so you can shoot and kill the enemies, and so that they will shoot and kill you. I don't remember the game being this difficult. Like, the web browser version is more difficult somehow, and I don't know why. Nothing has changed about it besides the frame rate, which shouldn't be affecting anything because I stop all of that from affecting that by using effective code. I still don't know why it's that, but you can check this out on itch.io, as said before. Oil Brush by capital T towering underscore capital R rake, which is my username. It's also my PlayStation username, but don't look me up or you will be executed. Um, I hope you've enjoyed, and goodbye.